property. The equation is 2x squared minus 5x equals 12. You subtract 12 from each side and get 2x squared minus 5x minus 12 equals 0. You use the x puzzle and multiply 2 and negative 12 to get negative 24 and negative 5, and you put it right here. And you get 3 times negative 8 equals negative 24, and 3 plus negative 8 is negative 5. So you put it into the equation, 2x squared plus 3x in parentheses, and then negative 8x minus 12 in parentheses equals 0. You take out an x from this equation, and so you get x, parentheses 2x plus 3, parentheses. You take out negative 4, and you get negative 4, parentheses 2x plus 3, parentheses, equals 0. And then you get x minus 4, and 2x plus 3 equals 0. And you set it equal to 0, and get x minus 4 equals 0, and your answer is x equals 4. And then 2x plus 3 equals 0, and subtract each side by 3, and get 2x equals negative 3, and your final answer is x equals negative 3 over 2.
Okay, so our second problem is 2x squared minus x equals 3. And to set it equal to 0, you have to subtract 3 from both sides, so you get 2x squared minus x minus 3 equals 0. And then you have to do the x puzzle, and you put negative 3 times 2 equals negative 6, so you put that on the top, and then negative 1 on the bottom, because this, and then negative 3 times 2 equals negative 6, and negative 3 plus 2 equals negative 1. And then so you get 2x squared minus 3x plus 2x equals negative minus 3 equals 0. And then you put that in brackets, and then you have to take out an x so you can get rid of the squared from this side. So it's x parenthesis 2x minus 3. And then on this side, you can take out a 1, so you do plus 1 parenthesis 2x minus 3 equals 0. And then you have to set them both equal to 0. And then for this one, you have to add 3 on both sides, so you get 2x equals 3. And then you divide it by 2, so your final answer is 3 over 2. And then for this one, you just get x plus 1 equals 0, and then you subtract 1 from both sides, and you get x equals negative 1.
You go to y equals, and then the equation we have here is x squared plus 3x minus 11. Then you go to second, trace, and the second number, which is 0, and then you go left bound of 0 and click enter, and then you have to go right bound, and then you click enter, and then that is your first value, and you have to do that twice.
Equals negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. So our first example is f of x equals x squared plus 10x plus 2. So a equals 1, b equals 10, and c equals 2. So you put it into the equation. X equals negative 10 plus or minus 10 squared minus 4 times 1 times 2 all over 2 times 1. Then it goes to x equals negative 10 plus or minus 100 minus 8 all over 2. And then x equals negative 10 plus or minus 92 over 2, square root of 92 over 2. X equals negative 10 plus or minus 4 times 23, because you take out 4 and 20, because 4 times 23 equals 92, all over 2. And then x equals negative 10 plus or minus, you get the square root of 4 equal to 2, all over square root of 23, all over 2. And you can take out the 2 here and here, which equals x negative 5 plus or minus square root of 23. So the second example is f of x equals 3x squared plus 5x plus 1. A equals 3, b equals 5, and c equals 1. So you put it into the equation. X equals negative 5 plus or minus square root of 5 to the second power minus 4 times 3 times 1, all over 2 times 3. So x equals negative 5 plus or minus square root of 25 minus 12, all over 6. Then you get x equals negative 5 plus or minus square root of 13, all over 6.
In this problem, we have x squared plus 6x. To find the third number, you have to do b over 2 squared. The value of b is 6, so you do 6 over 2 squared, which gives you 9. So then it would be x squared plus 6x plus 9.
The problem is x squared equals 27 minus 6x. So you have to get the x's on the same side. So you get x squared plus 6x plus equals 27. So then you use the b over 2 squared formula and you plug 6 in for b, and so you get 6 over 2 squared, which equals to 3 squared, which equals to 9. Then you plug 9 in and add it to each side, so you get x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 27 plus 9. Then you put the square root of both and put in parentheses x plus 3 parentheses squared equals square root of 36. These cancel out, so you get x plus 3 equals positive or negative 6. Then you do x minus 3 equals 6, which equals to 9. And then you do x plus 3 equals 6, which equals to 3.
Quadratic equation in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 is the value of the expression b squared minus 4ac. So in the quadratic formula, the number in the square root would be this discriminant. And 0 is equal, if 0 is equal to your number, it's one solution. If 0 is less than the number, it is two solutions. And if 0 is greater than the number, it is two imaginary solutions. And then an example of it is x squared plus 10 equals 8x. To get 0 by itself, you have to subtract 8x from each side, so you get x squared minus 8x plus 10 equals 0. And then a equals 1, b equals negative 8, and c equals 10. Then you use the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac, so you fill that in, negative 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 10, and that gets you 64 minus 40, and then that equals 24, and then since 24 is greater than 0, it's two real solutions.
When you use it when the square root is a negative number. So multiplying a monomial is, so you have 6i times 6i is 36i squared, and when you have I squared, it's equal to negative 1. So you do 36 times negative 1, which is equal to negative 36. So then multiplying a binomial, you have parentheses 3 plus 2i parentheses 3 minus 2i. So you get 3 times 3 plus 3 times negative 2i plus 2i times 3 plus 2i times negative 2i. So 3 times 3 equals 9, and 3 times negative 2i is negative 6i, and 2i times 3 is positive 6i, and then 2i times 2i, negative 2i is negative 4i squared. So you get 9 minus 4, because the negative 6i and the positive 6i cancel. So it's 9 minus 4 times negative 1, because the I squared becomes 1, negative 1. So it's 9 plus 4 equals 13.
So it's addition, like on this one, and then subtraction on this one. For addition, you can't FOIL because of the plus sign in between the parentheses. So you just do negative 2 plus 3 equals 1. And then you do 4i minus 11i, which equals negative 7i. And that's your answer. And then for subtracting, you have 4 minus 5, and then that equals negative 1. And then you have negative I minus 8i, which equals negative 9i.
The problem is 5 plus I over 2 minus 4i. And then you have to take the inverse of the denominator and multiply it by both sides on the top and the bottom. So you get 4 plus I over 2 minus 4i times 2 plus 4i over 2 plus 4i. So then 5 times 2 equals 10. 5 times 4i equals 20i. 2 times I equals 2i, and 4i times I equals 4i squared. And then you do the same for the bottom, so 2 times 2 equals 4, and negative 4i times positive 4i equals 16i squared. And I squared is also equal to negative 1, so you get 16 plus 22i over 20. And then the 6 over 20 reduces the 3 tenths, and 22 over 20 equals 11 over 10i. And then this is the A value, and this is the B value.